for putting me on this journey here today. So, and also our county executive, always great to be back in Monroe County here often.
Yep.
And delighted with your leadership, especially as we embrace this brave new world we're entering into in the next couple of weeks. So I appreciate your assistance with getting the word out to families. The dean of our site delegation, Harry Bronson, has joined us. Where's Harry sitting? Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, and been an advisor of mine since I was back in the early days in Congress, and so we go way back. I mean, I was proud to represent the Spencerport area. It was part of my congressional district. And Josh Jensen, a New York State Assembly member, thank you for joining us. I know this is an important issue to you and your constituents, so I appreciate you being here very much. Well, the reason we're here, home stretch, everybody. You know what I've done. Going on 2 years of traveling every corner of the state to have conversations about what is happening to our children. And what I saw was young people under enormous stress from pressure and, still coming out of the pandemic. And any adult who thinks our young people are over the pandemic, you're assessing the situation wrongly, because when you talk to teenagers, they remember how scary it was and paralyzing it was, and remote education for however long it was, that had a lingering effect on them. We think about, we got through it. It was a few years. Well, when you're very young, that couple of years is a big percentage of your life, the time you've been here. So it's real. So that took a psychological effect. But also, I've learned that there's a through line between when cell phones were allowed in schools and we had social media algorithms that were addictive. It goes back about a decade. And the rise of mental health challenges, whether it's anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts among our students. The trend line is parallel, the two of them going up at the same time. And so, as New York's first mom governor, and did these roundtables and listened to young people, and when one young woman said we have to, we know we should put them down. We know it's we're being held captive, and we can't really break from the clutches of this. But we cannot be the only one. We cannot be the first. We'll be ostracized forever. And parents didn't want to be the ones to be the only one who said, "You're leaving your cell phone home. You're not going to school." And it was even for the pressure on school boards and school districts. They've got enough to worry about. This would be a tough initiative to put forth. And so I heard from young people asking me to help them. And I heard from school districts and school superintendents and our teachers who are on the front lines of this and dealing with the challenge of competing with TikTok dance videos when they're trying to teach math class. And they knew they were losing the battle. So this whole confluence of forces where it rose up, and I realized, I'm the only one who can do something of consequence here. And I'm willing to go into the line of fire and be one of the very first states to have a full declaration that we'll have distraction-free schools, no cell phones, no Apple Watches, no earbuds, for the duration of the school day, bell to bell. And we did a lot of research, a lot of work, a lot of preparation, and I feel that we're ready. And part of it was to make sure that our school districts showed us their plan, show us that you're ready for this. And so we have a deadline, a little past. And I'm proud to announce that of the 1,100 school districts, including BOCES and charter schools, which were not in our earlier calculations, we're closing in on that, about 940. And I went to bed last night, it was 920. So the numbers are ticking up. Okay. Even adults like to procrastinate, but some have a good excuse because they had to announce this at their earlier meetings, and then the next meeting might not be till later in August. And so, they've asked for some grace period there. So we get it. But by and large, the school districts are responding. They've done a lot of outreach with the parents and hopefully the students. And I also have one more message for the parents. This is going to be a huge transition for your children. Enormous. I mean, if you're a smoker one day and the next day you don't have a pack of cigarettes, that's a rough time for you. So the addictive properties of our social media algorithms, which we've now banned social media companies from blasting this out against our children, but it's still occurring. And so I would suggest that parents try to talk to each other, find strategies. One school superintendent told me that in his own household they have cell phone free Mondays in their family over the summer just to get the kids used to it. And because guess what? My teenagers are actually playing board games. I didn't know they knew how. And they're already seeing different things happen. The teenagers are like, maybe they're fighting once in a while. I grew up in a big family, a lot of conflict, but they're talking to each other, they're communicating, they're making eye contact, they're communicating at dinner time. So that lost art of communication at home and in our schools is something we're going to restore. And I guarantee 1 year from now, we're going to have a healthier student body across the state of New York. And ultimately, when they emerge into society, graduating from high school, they'll be more highly functioning adults. They'll be able to work in groups and collaboratively, and they won't be these, people that are challenged with social interaction because they've spent their entire 4 years or career in school staring at a cell phone. And that's what we're breaking into, and that is going to be a challenge. I hope other states will follow our lead in what we're doing. And being New York the way we are, we're always bold. We're not the first, but I think we'll be the first big state. And I do believe that this is going to be a transformational opportunity for us. And the next generations of students coming up will never, ever know this challenge of having the cell phones in schools and this distraction all day long when their job there is to learn and to learn how to interact with other students and certainly their teachers. So I believe we've gotten to the right place. I appreciate the legislature for standing with us in this. It is a challenge, and I will lastly say this. Expect disruptions the first few days. I mean, guarantee. People aren't sure what to do. Where do they go? Where do the students go? How long is it going to take to get in line to have, however each school district individually set forth their plan for basically keeping them out of students' hands, whether it's a locking mechanism, a yonder pouch, or putting them on designated shelves. It's going to take a transition time. So cut everybody some slack. Be aware this is coming. Be patient, and we'll get through this. And as others have gone first, other counties, superintendents or school superintendents have told me, the first few months are tough. But then all of a sudden there's full compliance. People are used to it. And he hears that sound of laughter and kids' voices again in the hallways, which they've not heard for years. And so that's what we're striving for here. And so I want to first acknowledge our school superintendent for his remarks. Thank you again for being a leader in this. I do believe that we'll be judged at this moment for what we're doing now, judged by future people who'll say everybody who stood up and were involved in making this happen successfully are part of transforming our children's lives, and that's what you do here at BOCES every day. So thank you, Dr. Putnam.
So on behalf of Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES, we're really honored to have Governor Hochul with us today, so thank you for being here. We appreciate the governor's continued focus on supporting students, school faculty and staff, as well as our families and greater communities. As school leaders, we acknowledge that smartphones and internet-connected devices can be a distraction, and we already know it's been a distraction for driving. There are laws around that, whether you're working, but especially in classrooms. And so some data points, we've continued to look at as we plan for this. Teens ages 13 to 17 report being on social media about 5 hours a day. 55% of students nationally reported experience some form of cyberbullying over a year. And I have a 7-year-old at home. The one that threw me off was between 2015 and 2021, so a little older data, the U.S. experienced a 20% increase of 8-year-olds with a cell phone. So I will let my 7-year-old know he is not getting a cell phone next year. So we know that smartphones and devices are everywhere these days, and while they connect us, they can also make it difficult to focus and stay on task. Our teachers and students know firsthand how phones can pull attention away from learning, break up conversations, sometimes even hurt grades and emotional well-being. And with this new law, we're hoping to make our schools and classrooms a place where students can really pay attention, work together, and build strong connections, as the governor talked about with laughter in the hallways. And personally, I'm excited to hear from our roundtable participants and continue these important conversations. And as much as it pains me to say, as the school year starts in just about 3 weeks. So thank you very much again for the opportunity here, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll just take a second to excuse our friends from the press, and we'll get started with the roundtable.
We do have a student with us, and so I think you do have some, the fact that the governor
friendly place. I don't always get a hello from the media everywhere in the state. First of all, I just want to thank our superintendent here for once again, I acknowledged him earlier, but also for his leadership of BOCES here, for all he has done to get us to this place on a very important policy, something that I believe is going to transform the lives of our students, teachers, the entire classroom experience, and that is a distraction-free environment for everyone from kindergarten to 12th grade, one of the largest big states to ever do this, and I hope other states will follow. We had a very productive conversation to talk about different perspectives, from a student who says we're finally going to have a drama-free experience in school, quote unquote, from a student. I had other teachers talk about the fact that they're looking forward. Students are actually paying attention and they understand that the distractions have been enormous. We heard from a social worker who talked about the impact on their mental health and how we know that in a short time, all of a sudden, we'll be weaned off these cell phones completely, and students will be enjoying healthier mental health experiences and more emotional development, as well as developing interpersonal skills, which are being not developed now because students spend their day either looking down or looking at their hand with a device that occupies all their time because of the addictive algorithms which we took on last year, and I'm proud to be the only state in the nation that has been successfully accomplished, taking on the tech giants, social media companies, and winning that war as well. So happy to take any on-topic questions.
Thanks, guys. We have time for just a couple on topics.
Yeah, question about, was it $13.5 million is allocated
Yes.
for,
Yeah.
how much of that is being used and how's that being distributed?
If there's an allocation of $10.90 per student, ages 7 through 12, I'm sorry, for secondary students. So what they have to do, they have to
So
submit
7th grade to 12th grade, you mean?
those who applied for funds will receive them very shortly. But we need to get these schools to complete on time, or as close to on time as they can, their application, so their policy, for a review, and then that would trigger funding coming.
Okay, I'm seeing about like 85-ish% statewide. We've got a couple of schools in this area. Can you confirm like which districts have not either filed on time or, that?
No, school, we have, I don't know what your numbers are, but again, it probably ticked up since I was sitting in the room. It was 940 out of 1,100, which is a very good percentage, but other ones have protocol.
Statewide 85%, and that's as of Thursday, so I'm sure it's
Oh,
on
no,
for
it's-
today. Okay,
That's
so
old
it's
news.
changed.
No,
Okay.
no, it's getting better. We knew it would.
Okay.
We knew it. And also other ones have informed us. First of all, a lot of the smaller school, like charter schools and some of the BOCES districts, those who are not actually applying for money, some of them misunderstood and thought if they're not applying for money, they don't need to submit the plan. So we had to correct that. So that's a small percentage. Then there's also those who had their first meeting about this in July, but their protocol says that they have to announce at one meeting what they want to vote on, and then the next meeting they'll take that vote. So we also know there's other ones in that category. So we'll expect full compliance.
Yeah, Christian, what?
Go ahead.
Yes, so this is going to affect students, teachers, parents, everyone. Who would you say this new policy will most benefit?
All the above, but certainly the student. This is for our students. I'm New York's first mom governor. I have this innate desire to protect our children, and when I see them being damaged and stunted in their emotional growth from cell phones that they didn't invent, they didn't create them, they just got caught up in the peer pressure that everybody has to have one throughout the day in school, and I think this is going to be enormously beneficial to those, and this generation is going to find it a challenge, students in school now for a little while, but I've heard from students whose districts went cell phone free, and they said there's no going back. They feel more fun. He says, what? In our cafeteria, we're all talking to each other now. One girl told me, she's in middle school, I made my first friend in person. Isn't that sad? That's sad. So I at a personal level, a human level, as a mom level, and as a governor level, I am really proud of this policy, and I do hope other states will follow. But until then, we will have an advantage with more well-adjusted and better educated students ultimately, because they're not going to have the time that they should be learning sucked away from this addictive pull of their cell phone or their device. So it's for the students. And again, I'm encouraging all parents, understand this is going to be tough on them. It's going to be a tough transition. It is an addiction. Parents are addicted as well. But help them be ready in a few weeks for what is going to be very disruptive for them. And start the weaning now. Start having a couple days a week, or start with a few hours where let's put the phones down, let's lock them up over here and just see what they do. Maybe they'll actually go outside and play. That's our whole, get offline, get outside initiative, where we focus, spending millions of dollars and, getting swimming pools reopened and building new ones and outdoor activities and promoting our parks and recreation, just letting them be kids again. That's what I'm going for. Let them be kids again.
Great, any other on topics?
Oh, I'm an off topic, sorry
On
about that.
topic, yep.
Hi, Governor.
Hi.
Erin Mathman, News 10. You mentioned you were up to about 940 schools now, and each of them have their own plan for how they want this ban to work in their schools. I'm wondering how you're going to enforce the ban across all these school districts.
That we think that they will not comply with it, they'll be complying with it.
Sure.
You agree with this?
Yep.
No, they'll be complying with it. They'll understand the benefits, and we'll also, if there are those who are outliers, we'll be figuring out what the mechanism is, whether there's some excuse for why there's a challenge with them. And again, we have numerous exceptions for a child who happens to be the guardian or provider for a child, an older student maybe having to have some access. I think everybody has to know that they can go to a principal's office or have a designated place to be able to call their parents if they need to, if they forgot something or there's some change in their after-school plan. So we want to make sure there's that communication line, but also make accommodations for those with health problems or need interpretation skills. So there's a whole panoply of areas where we want to make sure people understand them, but we do expect full compliance.
Great.
Governor, can you elaborate?
Oh, no, yeah.
Go ahead.
We've heard from parents that there's some safety concerns that they won't be able to communicate with their children through the day. If, worst case scenario, there's a school shooting or another incident like that. Do you have any messages for parents, or did you discuss anything that could help ease their minds at all?
Absolutely. This was my first fear as well. I mean, Columbine occurred when my kids were younger, and that is a parent's worst nightmare. But when I had a chance to ask this question, that I as a mom was also feeling, to our police commissioners and our state police and our district attorneys and sheriffs, I said, is this important for the students to have access to a phone during the day, just in case this happened, this worst case scenario unfolds? They said, absolutely not. They said, the worst thing that a student can do during a crisis in the building or on the campus is to be reaching for their cell phone. First of all, that cell phone could ring and go off, and someone looking to do harm to students would know exactly where they are. So think about that. Your child has just been identified. Also, our teachers are highly trained in what to do in such an emergency. So them looking for their cell phone to be able to video their friends or send a message to their teachers and can cause some alarm, or send a message to their parents, it'll cause some alarm. They may not have all the facts, but also the teacher is trained to get them to safety, and they're not focusing on that teacher if they're fumbling around with their cell phone or the device. So this has been answered to me time and time again. Many parents are understanding it, and they say, aha, I get it. And so I think that's something people, if they understood that, they know that their children are safer without a phone during an emergency.
Great, thanks, guys. We're running a little bit behind, so we're going to excuse Dr. Putnam, and we have time for one off-topic question.
Okay.
One off
One
topic.
off-topic, go ahead.
Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
With the DA, Sandra Dorley, announcing her retirement end of August, do you plan on appointing somebody new, and if so, do you have somebody in mind, ma'am?
No, certainly there's conversations going with the local community. It's not going to come top down from Albany. There'll be involvement with the local leaders as well. But, listen, we want to get this done as soon as possible. It's an important position, but we cannot take any formal steps until the resignation has actually occurred. The district attorney has indicated that she will leave at a certain time frame, but that has to happen first to trigger the timing for either a special election or the general election. So that information is not known now because of that. That must happen first.
Great, thank you
Governor,
guys.
the
Really
Department of
appreciate your time.
Justice has subpoenaed Tish James. I'm wondering if you have a comment about that.
That just shows how far they're willing to go to disrupt all of the foundations of our democracy, that she's simply doing her job. She is elected. She is the Attorney General. She has the right to pursue cases where the evidence leads to this. She can secure convictions or dismissals or acquittals. She's just simply doing her job. She should be left alone.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.